Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Welcome to our Innovation Rounds, an event co-sponsored by Bio and CABI. So just for those of you who don't know, Innovation Rounds are short, inspiring talks by leading innovators to really share their successes, their journey, and be able to inspire Baycrest staff to take their own innovation route, their innovation journey in Baycrest and beyond. So today we have a very special guest. He's come all the way from Israel to deliver this amazing, inspiring talk. His name is Dr. Assaf Sagiv. He is the VP of Business Development at BIRAD, and BIRAD stands for the Ilan Research and Development Company. So their focus is on healthcare and initiating strategic new ventures for BIRAD and for Bar-Ilan University. And so prior to joining BIRAD, he co-founded MPD, the Non-Patented Drug Development Initiative, which was adopted by the Israeli Ministry of Science and Technology and the Israeli Ministry of Health. Dr. Sagiv also served as a Senior Business Development Manager of Technology Transfer Organizations, CTOs, including, correct me if I'm wrong saying this, but Kidum and Yusum. He consulted startups in the fields of pharma, diagnostics, and medical devices. And he's also he has a strong scientific background and holds a PhD in pharmacology, as well as an MBA from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. He is an entrepreneur through and through, and he's here to share stories about his experiences being a global innovator, and he's going to explore topics such as IP, for which at Baycrest is all things innovation, ideas, whatever it is. That's all IP in our institution here at Baycrest, and so he's just going to share some wonderful, inspiring stories and share anecdotes from his journey. So, without further ado, Dr. Assaf Sagiv, please come up.
Shalom. Thank you for the intro, Warson. Thank you, Ron, and the rest of the team at Bio. Indeed, I took a flight. It took me almost 12 hours, and I'm here. I'm still on a jet lag, but we are here. So, indeed, as Warson has introduced me, I come from BIRAD. BIRAD is the Technology Transfer Organization of Bar-Ilan University. It works? Okay, never mind. And I'll speak today about the data that Warson has introduced you with, and that will help you, I think, understand the ecosystem in one hand and intellectual property on the other hand, and how do you do to commercialize these, and with some success stories and other things that I hope will be of interest for you. So Warson has introduced me. I was a researcher first at the Hebrew University in Israel. I'm a pharmacist on my basic education, also my second degree. In Israel, you do pharmacy for 5 years, first degree, and then 2 or 3 more years for the second degree, coming forth with the PhD. While I did my PhD, I've developed various products on which few of them already reached the market, the European market, and are being sold. I was focused on topical medicine. And I've found innovations which relate to diseases which are connected with dryness, such as dry skin syndrome, and dry eye, dry nose, dry vagina, etc. Following this, I've decided not to continue with my academic career, and I've moved to Technology Transfer Organization because I realized that the majority of our innovation did not come to the market, did not reach into an end product. And for me, it was, a catastrophe. I mean, I've invented so many things and I thought they're wonderful, but I went to Isum, our TTO, and it was buried in the drawer. So I said to myself, if I can contribute just a little bit, by 0.5% more, to reach my colleagues' new invention into the market and to cure those people who are sick and to increase their wellness, I'm doing my job. So, first, I was asked to explain you a little bit about what is intellectual property, and so on. So let's move on. Okay, so in general, what we have, we're talking about a few major forms of patent protection. I will deal more in details with patents, but first I just want to mention the trademarks that you all of you probably see, those TM and this R marks. R resembles for the fact that it is authorized, it is registered in some country, and so on.
Let's put this on you for the people
Okay.
online.
I hope you can hear better. Fine. On top of that, we have also trade secrets. Some of our stuff, though we patent them, we do not disclose all the information in the patents because we want to make sure that what we have inside the patent, one can, at the end of the day, copy it. But if you hold yourself with additional info, which we call it know-how, and only the combination of the two can provide you with the whole scope of the invention, then you have to first get it signed via the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement, and only then you can really provide the know-how, and together with the patent information, you can get into the technology in its depth. We also have copyrights, which all of you know, so I'll skip it. So what is a patent? Patent, in fact, it's a negative right. It's a right to exclude others from, first of all, making, using, selling, etc., or important, your patent, okay, in the invention itself. And it doesn't mean that it gives you the right to use the invention. First of all, you have to do a screen, what we call it freedom to operate, and only if we reveal that we can go ahead, so thereafter we can move on and then to use our patent. Patent usually has a time limit, which is about 20 years. We have some games that we can do to expand it. And it's always territorial. The process of patents is first you submit a provisional of your idea, of your invention. This provision takes place and protect you with a priority date for 1 year. Within this year, you can add in your research additional results and pour them into the patent, into the provisional one, within this year. Thereafter, you move into the PCT, which gives you a year and a half. Within this year and a half, we are doing most of our efforts to license our technology. Okay, half a year after the patent has reached the PCT, it is being published to the world. Therefore, whatever you see, let's say you open a WIPO website, these are only inventions that were created 1.5 years ago and an older one. Meaning that if you are now researching a certain topic and you're doubt whether to register my patent, to apply my provisional, I'm sorry, so you should know that what you see in the web is not that valid. It's considered valid, but there is a 1.5 year lag time. Okay, so in fact, patent is a bargain between the inventor and the society. The patentee wishes to have the rights to prevent the competition I mentioned earlier and the copying of its invention during the term of the patent. And he wants to give a license or to sell the patent. And while the other hand, the society wants to get this freely and use this invention, this knowledge. And at the end of the day, this database helps humanity to progress. What can be patented? So first, we have 3 major rules. You must have a novelty in your innovation, meaning that no previously known, published, or used by other. The second thing is the inventive step, okay? That it is not obvious in light of previous knowledge, yes, or that any person that having skill in the art can or could have think about it. The third thing is the usefulness. So is it capable for industrial application? We also calculate, is it economically has a right, especially in hospital, yes, you need to cover at least the cost. On top of that, this is not a must, but we call it enablement. that's on top of that. We cannot patent an idea. Well, you have to prove something, whatever it is a physical manner or chemical in your lab, at your clinic or so. And again, we cannot protect law of nature. We cannot get a patent on gene, for example, or on a scientific principle. The types of utility patents are product. This could be machines, apparatus, etc. Medical devices, for example. A composition of matter like chemical compounds. It could be a process or a method, an article or of manufacture. It could be used, and it could be, in fact, improvements of all of the above. When we're talking about intellectual property and commercialization, I hope you can see on the right top the cycle. Can you see, or is it too difficult? Okay, so intellectual property come to foster innovation, okay? Without IP, the protection of our ideas, businesses and individual cannot or would not reap the full benefits of their invention and would focus less on research and development. Therefore, when we come to our lab or to our clinic and we do the research, we come to a phase which we call invention disclosure, followed by the assessment, whether it is novel, as we mentioned, etc., with all the rules. And then after we write down the patent or we submit the intellectual property protection that we want. At this phase really starts the engine, the real one, start to work. Meaning we need to, first of all, build the marketing package, a one-pager that summarizes the thing, what we have, the idea, the innovation, without really revealing the essence of this technology. A short non-confidential presentation, which we can explain and share our data with companies that we want to come into in agreement to. Thereafter, what we do a market analysis. We found which are the leaders in a certain area, and we seek to get in contact with them in order to try and convince them, get into negotiation with us towards a licensing agreement. After signing the agreement, the commercialization and development of the process, of the product, of the technology, whatever it is, go forward towards the revenue generation. And the revenue generation, like in the lump sum or royalties shared with the selling of the end product, this is the gas that fuels the whole system, which means this is what gives us, the researcher, the clinician, additional money to our lab, to our team, to develop new ideas, because this is the way we want to progress, and this is the way we move the wheels of innovation and running the economy. I come from Israel, as I mentioned. You probably know Israel is the startup nation. It was cited and a book was written about it. And I want to describe with you or share with you some info about Israel. It is considered #1 in private research and development expenditure as a percentage of the GDP. We're talking about 4.3%, and 84% of this comes from private sector, okay? So Israel is the highest among the OECD countries. It is also #1 in venture capital investments as a percentage of the GDP. You probably know about Mobileye that was acquired by Intel and for $15.3 billion in 2017. And by the way, Intel holds its research and development facilities in Israel. The last 2 years or so, about $10 billion were raised via venture capitals in Israel. Anyone here uses Waze? Yes? So Waze arrived from Israel. Mazor Robotic, for example, was acquired by Medtronic, some small company, for $1.7 billion. Israel is also #2 in the innovation index of the Global Financial Forum, and #3 in the number of companies listed at NASDAQ after US and China. Totally, I would say the last decade, it was about more than $3.8 billion raised via NASDAQ. Just, I thought it would be interest for you. So Israel considers number 6 as the healthiest country in the world, and number 6 in terms of life expectancy. You can learn much more about it via the Startup Nation Finder website and also the Israeli Innovation Authority website. So I come from Bar Ilan. Bar Ilan University is one of the biggest universities in Israel. By number of students, I think it's the second in Israel. We have 1,700 academic faculty members, teaching 17,000 students in 8,000 academic courses. Also, some courses are digitals and are being distributed by BIRAD. We have an arm which deals with digital academics. We have 8 faculties, including the Jewish studies, medicine, engineering, law, life sciences, exact sciences, social sciences, and humanities. I'll speak about the location. In the north of Israel, we have a new faculty that we have established, the Faculty of Medicine, the Israeli one. It's located at 900 meters above sea, which makes Tzfat, the city where it goes, the highest city in Israel. Tzfat, by the way, since the 16th century, has been considered as one of Judaism's 4 holy cities, along with Jerusalem, Hebron, and Tveria. And it has remained the center of Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism. In the center of Israel, near Tel Aviv, at Ramat Gan, we have our main campus. So the faculty at Tzfat, the medicine, deal with major areas such as cancer research, neuroscience, immunology and infectious disease, and development and aging, which I believe relates to you too. I would say that we have 200 currently and 20 clinical research faculty. And the first year we started, we had 125 students, and currently we have 390 students studying medicine at Tzfat. I'll give you an example about another institute at Bina. Bina is the Center for Nanotechnologies and Advanced Material, located in our main campus. It has published more than 2,200 articles in fine magazines. We have submitted those 10 years or so, more than 100 patent applications, of which 21 of them have been granted. Bar Ilan University works in different areas and specializes in, for example, neurodegenerative diseases, cancer research, drug discovery, cognitive sciences, imaging and microscopy, infectious disease, and so on. And I want to mention just about a week ago, it's like a scoop, Israel has opened a new Israel-German research center for aging. So I think it could be interesting for you to consider cooperation. So BIRAD is the technology transfer organization of Bar Ilan University. So our vision is first to translate new inventions made at Bar Ilan University into useful products that can be effectively commercialized, thus strengthening the economy, not only of Israel, but also others, and promoting the innovation and improving the lives of people. BIRAD brings the science into life by a few major steps. Most of our work is towards licensing. Additional arm is sponsored research. This sponsored research, again, nourish the research and the development. We also supply scientific services to startups in Israel and also in Europe. And this service, because of the fact that we have all this knowledge and all those technologies within the university, they can be used by the local industry and also the European one. Another arm that we have is the public-private funded agreement that we do. BIRAD offers investor 2 ways to capitalize our IP. So first of all, we offer a unique approach to licensing IP to new spin-out companies. and we give them very nice and easy to get license terms. And we also work with our investors, and we follow up with their investment thereafter so that we can help those spin-outs company to further flourish, because we think that if we leave the company just to grow by itself, sometimes it is not that efficient, and many of the startups are being closed. So we license the IP rights to an existing corporate entity, which is in a better position than us to market, to negotiate all the end user agreement. BIRAD Deals currently has about, you see, these are the active startups by family groups. We have in pharma, in medical device, cyber, energy, and IoT. For example, Z-Square that you see there on the right is an endoscope. Imagine yourself an endoscope, thinner than hair, only 70 micrometer, single hair endoscope. So you can imagine yourself, what can we do and how will part of the medical surgery, let's say the brain surgery and some other areas in which we never could have reached, and it's almost non-invasively if you think about it, a single hair. So let's see what will happen with Z-Square, for example. Ryan has asked me to share with you some of our success stories. I thought to bring 3 of them just for your attention. So continuous biometrics, what they do, they detect and analyze internal organ vibration. It's amazing. And they monitor the physiological parameter with no touch, okay? We have another technology on which we call it a jewelry technology. We have rings, we have necklace, and so on, of which we can also measure different parameters, like the one mentioned on the right. It's an easy to use preventive care of chronic diseases and condition. It's a remote, non-intrusive and highly accurate sensing technology, which captures nanovibration of internal organs, including molecule. We can follow up after glucose and alcohol in our bloodstream. We can follow after different noises from the lungs, respiratory rate. We follow after heart rate, blood pressure. And we can also follow the muscle activity with nanometrics. Let's see. Again, I want to show you a little movie about this, just to, let's see if it's there. You should scroll down, yeah. Thank you. No speakers. On your right. No?
Let's see if this works just a second.
Upstairs on the left, mute. Okay.
At any stage into the patient's house. Here, continuous biometrics do exactly that, making it extremely easy for people to get access to continuous medical monitoring everywhere. Through remote, non-touch, and effortless sensing.
Our sensor consists of a camera with special optics and a laser. And they can be connected to any type of consumer device, such as mobile phones, TVs, or even car dashboards. We use unique and patented optical methods to capture nanovibrations created by the movement of internal organs, chemicals, and molecules in the body of the subject that we are trying to sense. Our sensor can detect a large variety of biomedical parameters simultaneously without any physical contact to the user. With our sensor, we can measure heart and respiration rates, heart and lung sounds, blood pressure, pulse wave velocity, chemicals in bloodstream, such as glucose and alcohol, and even muscle activity. And all this with a nanometric precision.
What we are providing is a revolutionary solution for patients suffering from various chronic diseases, such as cardiovascular, diabetes, and other respiratory conditions. Thanks to our sensors, which are incredibly easy to use, patients will get monitored passively throughout the day without changing their daily routines. The system collects and uses AI techniques to analyze data and alerts patients as well as physicians in case of deterioration. Providing that kind of preventive care improves quality of life and can save patients' lives. Even continuous biometrics, we are enabling better healthcare everywhere.
Thank you. Okay. Another technology which I found interesting to share with you is called nanodrops. Just 2 weeks ago, the government and the Israeli Innovation Authority has approved the release of these technologies to the public so that it has become another spin out of Ilan. It's called nanodrops, and it improves the nearsight and the farsightedness. It has a revolutionary new alternative to eyeglasses. Currently, the eyeglasses, contact lenses, and laser correction for refractive errors by locally modifying the corneal refractive index at the cornea. We're talking about 4 billion people, about 1.5 million with myopia, the nearsightedness, about 2 billion with presbyopia, and billion others. This eyewear, glass eyewear market is expected to jump to $170 billion in 2026. This technology was created by a combination of a clinician, David Smadja, he's an ophthalmologist, and Zev Zalewski, he's an optical engineer, and Professor Jean-Paul Moshe Lalouche, who is a nanochemist. And together they have built this technology. The first step we are aiming towards is one will go to an optometrist. The optometrist will supply him with these measures, and then he will go to those pharmacies where a machine will be there, and he can do it by himself by a non-invasive system that will improve his eyesight, and it can be used via your mobile phone with a smaller laser like this one, and a nano eye drops, which will correct this refractive error. Another technology relates to medical cosmetic. It's a breakthrough nanopolymer cream, of which allow small molecules of anti-aging hyaluronic acid, as you may know, nanopolymers, to be applied as a cream without creating an aggregates. This is the main problem. While those nanoparticles are being applied into cream, they absorb the water, and this causes them to aggregate. In our technologies, it is stay as it is, so it is enabling the penetration via the stratum corneum into the deeper layers of the skin, and it has its effect. It's a sponsored research that led to a licensing agreement, and currently it is sold directly to cosmeticians. In my journey here, we have arrived, in addition to myself, 3 other researchers of us, and we will give tomorrow a talk. I will share with you the link to if you want to register and participate. One of them is Professor Mira Bardasad, who is the president of the Israeli Immunological Society, and she will describe and share information about uses of small molecules for hematopoietic cells, diseases such as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, CLL, ALL. She will also share additional presentation about novel natural killer based immunotherapies on which we are suppressing the suppressors, meaning we are increasing the killer instinct of the natural killer cells to treat and kill and stop the cancer. With her arrives Professor Shai Raimipo, who is a chemist, and he will speak about novel theranostic agents in early diagnosis and therapy of different amyloidogenic diseases, including Parkinson, Huntington, and Alzheimer disease, both from the point of diagnosis and of treatment. Dr. Milana Frankel-Morgenstein will describe about a new invention that we have on liquid biopsies for personalized therapy approaches on which we can detect in very early stage different diseases. And also we can help the practitioner in the clinic to decide which of the drugs that currently available in the market he should apply. For example, if it's a cocktail of chemotherapy, which of the drug for this particular patient should be effective and which not. So by this, of course, we save the life the time, the very precious time just to do trial and error with using different chemotherapies which are not effective. And for example, we do currently a research at Bellinson Hospital in Israel with systemic lupus erythematosus patients, and we can help them very efficiently. First of all, decide between the drugs that are currently helping or helping less, which one would be the best for them. So it's very efficient. Milana used a lot of genetics and bioinformatics and artificial intelligence. What I told you about is the November 19 healthcare showcase. This is the link on which you can register. On the evening tomorrow, we will have those presentations to investors and also medtech companies such as pharmaceutical, diagnostic, and medical devices company. The purpose, my main purpose of my arrival here to Toronto was to build a business relationship, such as sponsored research, licensing, strategic partnership with both US and Canadian one. These are my details on the right, and you may contact me via mail or WhatsApp. And I wish to thank the organizing for inviting me. I hope you learn a little bit, and I'll be happy to answer you with questions.
We do have a few minutes for questions.
Yes, please.
Several times you mentioned sponsored research. How does that work in your organization? I wonder if you could say a little bit more about that, because most of the sponsored research I'm familiar with, you're not negotiating any kind of terms with people, because they come in with a sponsor, they pay you for the work, and you're really a service provider in that kind of relationship. How is yours different than that?
Okay, so first of all, what we do is we define very clearly, if I showed you earlier that we're doing also some services to the industry. We want to make sure that when we sign a services agreement, it is really for service. And it's not that the company arrive and gain the knowledge of the researcher and get his IP. So if it's really no IP, it's black and white, only service, then it's a service agreement. If we come into sponsored research, what we do is we set with the firm the fact that we declare very clearly who has what intellectual property, let's say patent in the field of interest, and we define it in our agreement beforehand so that there will be no surprises. Thereafter, everything that it is derived from the sponsored research you ask, keep being kept at Bar-Ilan University at BIRAD, meaning all the intellectual property stays at Bar-Ilan. Because usually what happened within this sponsored research, first of all, the firms, we give it a first right to use the results, okay? And in case, just by case, it's very rarely, most of the time, that the company itself has a intellectual property contribution, then we add it to the patent if there is a patent path that we are willing to go ahead with. Usually those sponsored research, of course, first of all, they nourish the labs of our researchers, yes. And at the end of the day, if it is really a product that can be commercialized, we come into discussion with the company, we give her the right to get the license. Of course, we have anti-shelving clauses, which we make sure that the technology is not being buried into, so that it will not reach the public, because it's against the principle, of course, the commercial one. I hope I answered your question.
So are these largely startups you enter into that kind of negotiation with, or these?
As of the sponsored research? As of the sponsored research? No, Teva, the largest generic company in Israel and I think in the world, is one of our clients on a usual basis. We also have like SMEs that comes to us. And of course we have startups and even entrepreneurs that they want to start something, and we, let's say, a type of investigating them, see that there is a good fit. with their passion, with their capabilities, with their previous experience, and then we give them the license for a certain time to see that they can progress it with. Yes, please. Yes, please.
How are academics at Bar Ilan rewarded for engaging in what's called commercializable research?
Okay, so first of all, in our portfolio, every researcher that the technology has come to a progress and it has reached the market, whatever the license deals that we term, gets about 60% of the sum to its lab and to all of those who contributed to the invention. So first of all, it's good for their personal benefits, but moreover, it again nourished the lab and its team to create new innovation. So I think it's very, and I would tell you that it's the same in all Israel. So we're moving between 20 to 40% of which the university and its TTO take for themselves, for the services, and because we maintain the patent, you cannot miss a day. We help to facilitate with the commercialization, we do the negotiation and everything, and we follow up after, and we do sometimes audits within those firms that we think that they maybe not declare exactly what they ought to supply us with. So by this way, the professor, the researcher, the clinician, they have very good incentives to think out of the box to see if what they see, let's say in the surgery room, can be utilized later on or can be improved. Because as I show you in the patent issue, improvement is also a utility patent. So then they come to us or we come to them, which I prefer. I like the proactive manner. And I come and I meet our researchers on some basis, let's say every quarter, every 3 months. And we sit, we talk together, we do brainstorming. I bring my knowledge both as a researcher and as the business, and we try to see if we can extract any new invention that can be then disclosed. We have a committee at our university that decide whether it can be moved on to the TTO, and then at BIRAD we do all the due diligence as far as is this really a technology that can get to the market? Is there a need if we are answering an unmet need? Or is it just a Me Too technology? Yes, please.
Position here in Baycrest. I'm curious to know if BIRAD partners with outside researchers, outside institutions in commercialization of patents that are developed elsewhere.
Yes, we do. In fact, I think this is more than 50% of our activities outside. We are contacting, sometimes it arrives from the researcher itself. A group of researchers have developed an invention. They come to us and we start to negotiate those technologies. For example, I'm currently in contact with University of Sherbrooke here in Canada and University of Montreal. As of one technology that Professor Shai Reimipur that I showed you earlier, the chemist, has co-developed also for Alzheimer's sometime. So we are in contact directly with those TTO. Usually we give the researcher, the clinician, to decide between themselves who contributed and how much, and accordingly we divide and we supply the commercial benefit, but also covering of the cost, because it's a costly process to patent and thereafter to maintain it. The best thing is to get a patent before it's reached the national phase, which is 2.5 years after you have submitted it to a commercial firm that will decide which country it wants to protect for its commercial needs. And it's also as of the cost, because the costs are very high as soon as you reach this national phase. Oh, good.
So can you share any of what you would consider secret sauce that you and Barlan Tech Transfer has figured out on how do you inspire people to share and to want to commercialize and work with you? How do you find the right connections with industry? And anyway, we're along that path, but really something something unique that you found?
I think the most important thing is first to be in direct contact, personal contact with the researcher, with the inventor. I think the human mind is enormous. I mean, we hardly use it. So if we just do a right brainstorming, and sometimes, let's say, I'll give you an example. We have a researcher, her name is Bila Fisher. She's also the dean of the exact sciences. And Bila has a technology, some compound that is very efficient for glaucoma. I saw on which of the receptor it works, and I told her, you know, this receptor is very effective for another disease, diabetes 2, and also for AMD. Because of the fact that we know our local ecosystem, and sometimes the researcher or the clinician don't know everybody and who's doing what, I connected her with Ron Piran, who's a researcher in our faculty at Tzfat in the north, and now they're doing into a diabetic 2 research using her molecule in a unique article that I found out. I helped them to find it out, and I supplied them this. So I think this is part of the essence, to think more, to think out of the box, to have the passion to help your team, the researcher. And I think this is a major impact to contribute to between the TTO and the hospital or the academia. Yes?
Yeah, I wanted to know a little bit more about the nature of your relationship with the Innovation Authority. How do you work together? What does that look like?
The Israeli Innovation Authority is one of the main engines that support the sponsored research type of agreement. What we do, we have few programs. Let's say one of them it's called Kamin, of which the government gives something like 150,000 Canadian dollar. It's per year for 2 years. And then the fruits of this research, first of all, it helps the researcher to progress his research because he gets 300,000 Canadian dollar. As a result of this research, there is a technology that at the end of the day, we, BIRAD or any other TTO commercialize, then there is the Israeli intellectual property law, which means that if we do it and manufacture and keep the intellectual property within Israel, then we don't need to pay royalties. But if the technology, essence, the know-how, or the intellectual property has been transferred, let's say for Canada, the company who got the license will have to pay the Israel Innovation Authority 5 times the amount it gave, meaning 1,500,000 Canadian dollar. We have also other plans, which is with the industry. It's called NOFAR, on which we give a first right to a company. It gives 10% of the sum, which is about 200,000 Canadian dollar per year. So 10%, she puts 20,000. The IIA, the Israeli Innovation Authority, put the other 180,000. And again, if the fruits, they have to follow like this. And this firm that put the 20,000, it's not a lot of money for industry. They get the first right to decide whether they take the technology to its next steps, or they say, we don't want to continue, and then we can do whatever we want. Okay, thank you very much.